It's a Conspiracy is a proud member of the Alberta Podcast Network, locally grown and community supported. For a list of other fun programming, please check out the albertapodcastnetwork.com, where you can find shows like Three Kitchens Podcast.
It's a conspiracy!
This is the
red leather, yellow leather, red leather, yellow leather. Okay, I'm ready. We're good. Let's go. Let's do this.
This is the Independence Day special. Welcome back, everyone, to It's a Conspiracy. This is the podcast where we lay out the beliefs behind select conspiracy theories, alternative accounts, legends, myths, and more. I'm your host, Andrew, and I do not claim to be an expert on anything we're going to discuss today or at any point, really, and we'll probably be wrong about everything as usual. And this one is no exception to that at all, except that we are going to talk about the film, the cinematic masterpiece, Independence Day. So it's 90s magic, kind of magic, kind of golden, kind of a masterpiece. I'm saying the masterpiece with the finger quotes. I don't know if you.
Well, hey! I was told we were talking about opinion later. Dropping masterpiece early, man. That's dropping the M bomb. That's getting ahead of yourself. Jeez.
Keep my opinions to myself. I will put them back in my pants. Thank you for reminding me. If I get a little opinion-y, you just call me out on that. Now, as always, if you'd like to see which tunnels the brave puppies are going to jump into to avoid the flames, then please check out the episode description. Charlie makes that awesome pew pew sound with the files, and you can show how civil you are by taking a little look-see in there. Maybe there's something you'd like to look into a little bit more. And lastly, we are a proud member of the Alberta Podcast Network. Yay team, yay friends, yay squad, yay summertime. It's summertime. It's officially summertime. Summer solstice was the other day. So it's Alberta
I believe it's summer solstice, actually.
That's probably the encouragement I'm having here with this a nice blonde. We'll get into that a little later on too.
Yeah.
You can check us out at itsconspiracypodcast.com. Our Twitter at Is It a Conspiracy? That's run by the social media influencer, the Irish Madman. Our Facebook group, our Instagram page, It's a Conspiracy Podcast, our email, and our Patreon page, patreon.com/It's a Conspiracy. Righty then, joining the online distance communication time is a new friend of the show, Mack. Thanks for joining us, buddy. It's awesome to have you. We've talked about the Friday Night Movie Club a couple times on the podcast, and it's just about damn time we have someone from there in here. You know, worlds colliding, a mishmash of flavors and the rich, juicy broth that is our relationship.
I'm happy to be part of your juicy broth, Andrew. It makes me feel better. Yeah, no, good to be here. I'm going to say I like the podcast, and it's nice to join in. I don't know, yeah.
Aww.
That's all nice. I have to say. I thought I had more. I don't.
It's nice when things are nice. That's what my mom likes to say. Nice when things are nice. Now, okay, I'm just gonna run through things here for you. So, Matt, can you tell me with just a simple yes or no? Can you tell me if you're familiar with these three things here? Okay. Number one, the cast and crew and synopsis of Independence Day.
Yes.
Okay. Some fun facts about Independence Day.
I have one or two.
Okay. All right. Now, number three. This is actually three questions. Does it hold up? Is it any good? And what about the part with the jumping dog?
Now, am I answering these? Oh, also, third part, brilliant, good.
Thank you.
Am I answering these now, or just yes? I have these things.
Just a yes or no?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Wholeheartedly yes. Okay. So my heart started to go there. I got like test anxiety all of a sudden. I was like, God.
Don't mean to put you on the spot, but
okay,
answer the question.
Now. Yeah.
So, subject number one. This is the cast and crew and synopsis of Independence Day. Now, here's the official synopsis. On July 2nd, communication systems worldwide are sent into chaos by strange atmospheric interference. It is soon learned by the military that a number of enormous objects are on a collision course with Earth. At first thought to be meteors, they are later revealed to be gigantic spacecraft, piloted by mysterious alien species. After attempts to communicate with the aliens go nowhere, David Levinson, an ex-scientist turned cable technician, discovers that the aliens are going to attack major points around the globe in less than a day. On July 3rd, the aliens all but obliterate New York, Los Angeles, Washington, as well as Paris, London, Houston, and Moscow. The survivors set out in freedom convoys towards Area 51, a strange, mysterious government testing ground where it is rumored the military has a captured alien spacecraft of their own. The survivors devise a plan to fight back against the enslaving aliens, and July 4th becomes the day humanity will fight for its freedom. July 4th is their Independence Day.
In a world.
Oh, man.
Yeah, okay, that was weird. No, I got a question. Did you add freedom to the convoy word, or was it freedom convoy in there?
I added the word freedom.
Okay. I thought you did, but if you didn't, that would have been so juicy. That would have been so good.
If your convoy isn't about freedom, then is it even a convoy?
Yeah, what are you convoying for? I mean, geez, come on. Okay, so that's the synopsis. Now,
that's
cast and crew, right?
Yeah,
that's
okay, here we go.
Okay, can I give you a challenge though?
Sure.
How many cast members can you name without looking at like IMDb? Like this cast is huge. How many people off the top of your head can you just name?
Well, I mean, we just watched it last night, but if I hadn't just watched it last night, I would have been like, okay, Fresh Prince, Bill Paxton or Pullman, whichever one it was. They're both the same.
Yep, they are the same person. Science has proven it.
Jeff Goldblum is in there, and Vivica A. Fox.
Yeah,
the Black Mamba Death Patrol.
No, she's not. She's not Black Mamba, but she's mad because she wanted to be Black Mamba,
and she should have been Black Mamba. Yeah. And I would have said that's about it off the top of my noodle, But then having seen it last night, like, how many? I mean, how long had it been since you saw it?
Oh, I honestly think before last night, I hadn't watched it since I was in like junior high.
Mm-hmm. It had been some
and I'm going to be honest, I was super dismissive of it because I was like at that real pretentious age where I just discovered that like film can be art, and I discovered 2001: A Space Odyssey, and I just watched like Pulp Fiction, and I was like, what is this cheesy mainstream blockbuster whatever BS?
Right.
And so anyways, I won't get into opinions, but I'm glad I watched it last night. So I'm going to say I am glad that we actually sat down and rewatched this thing.
It needed to be raw. I don't think I could have talked about it without rewatching it. Like there was things that I was like, I remember this, and then it's like, oh, I don't remember that part. So there's things we both remembered, like the puppy jumping.
The puppy. That is the one image seared in my brain.
Yeah. Other than that, though, I was like, I don't remember this part. It was directed by famed German Roland Emmerich of Godzilla, The Day After Tomorrow, The Patriot, White House Down, Universal Soldier, 2012, I guess, whatever you want to call it, 10,000 BC, where there's dinosaurs, just like there were.
I forgot about that one.
Ago.
Oh,
that's science for you. And then amazingly, this tops the list. I was like, okay, let's give him a chance, people. He also directed, and I'm gonna throw out that word again, the masterpiece Stargate. So like,
Stargate is amazing. Yeah, I will admit.
He's some hits and misses. We'll just say that.
Here's the thing: there is no Roland Emmerich film that is not stupid, but there are many that are delightfully stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's good and bad ones. None of them like cross over into like intelligent films, but like some of them do cross over into like just really good times.
I guess we kind of got to put a pin on that because I think.
Did I get into the opinion territory? Did I cross the line?
In the end, when we talk about this movie, I think you've got a very good point there because I think that what you're saying kind of sums up Independence Day. Mm-hmm. Because you're absolutely right. There's some stupid stuff in this, but overall, so the film starred a fresh, spicy young Will Smith. He was awesome. And a post Jurassic Park Jeff Goldblum. Is it Blum or Bloom?
I say Goldblum myself.
You say Goldblum, okay.
Goldblum. Although I do love that the Jeff Goldblum quote of often people ask me, do you pronounce it Jeff Goldblum or Jeff Goldblum? To which I always respond, how dare you talk to me? I'm just
and a couple.
I know. I've always said Goldblum.
I will say Goldblum just for the sake of continuity here. Blum is just kind of awkward and sounds.
It does sound weird. I don't know why. I mean, it might be accurate, but it sounds wrong to my ears, and that's all I care about. So I say Goldblum.
Mm-hmm. There's a couple names in here that I hope I'm pronouncing correctly. So there's, for example, a very spicy Judd Hirsch is in this movie. A very young Judd Hirsch. He's about 60.
Oh yeah, but it's funny. Like I looked it up. I think he plays Jeff Goldblum's father, and he's only like 17 years older than him or something. But God, he looks like 40 years older than him in this movie. Which I'm sure there's makeup effects. I'm sure it's not just like he's just looks horribly haggard in real life. But like, I never would have put them in the same age bracket in my brain.
It falls into that thing now where Paul Rudd is now the same age that Wilford Brimley was when he made the first Cocoon movie.
Oh, I know.
And like how those two
people are... and like Tom Cruise is older than Wilford Brimley was back when he was doing like Quaker Oats commercials and Cocoon and stuff.
Yeah, it's some people just, I guess you sell your soul to the devil, you stay young forever. That's
I also think it's just that people have stopped just chain smoking and drinking brown liquor every moment that they're awake. I just think we live better. Even the person living like the shittiest life nowadays is probably still living healthier than the majority of people in like 1950.
It's funny you should say that. I think the next person on this list here is a perfect example of that. So there was also Randy Quaid.
Okay, he's not. Okay, okay, fair enough. I've seen his crazy videos.
So he's in this, and he I did kind of feel like he was rounding out the National Lampoon's Vacations trilogy. Like this felt like the sequel to, the first two entries in that saga. A very stoic Robert Loggia, which I think is how you say his name.
I don't know. I've never, it's funny. I've never actually heard it said out loud until we were watching the movie last night. And I realized I'd only ever seen it in print. It's like that moment where you realize the character's name is Hermione, not Hermione, because you've only read the books and you go to see the film for the first time in Harry Potter. And you're like, oh, that's how you say it. Like, I've never heard Robert Loggia, maybe.
Loggia, yeah, totally. It's not Loggia. So
it's pronounced Lochai.
And speaking of Lochai, there's also a lusciously voiced Harvey Fierstein in this movie.
No, is it Firestein or is it Fierstein? Like, I don't actually know.
I don't know. Harvey,
but his voice is so lovely. I like how we both just went into it immediately. Like, as soon as you mentioned me, everyone has to go.
There's also a very young Adam Baldwin of Firefly fame, who he's not a Baldwin. He's not like a shooting people in the desert.
I don't
Baldwin.
think so.
He's one of the other Baldwins. Yeah.
Oh, that's so harsh. Fair, but harsh. Oh, but no, and it's funny though, because you recognize him now. Like, oh, but he's also like a non-character. Like, he's just like generic handsome man number 5, where like it's supposed to be like, oh, he's a military guy that I recognize, but with no identifiable characteristics whatsoever, other than being like played by Adam Baldwin.
Totally. And it's like, shoot that guy. Yes, sir. And he just does it. Like, he's kind of a robot a little bit. And speaking of robots, of course, there's Brent Spiner, who died in this, but I guess he's in the sequel somehow.
Is he?
And
I never saw the sequel.
I didn't see it either, but that's an opinion. Okay, I'm gonna hold on to that.
There is a format that you need to stick to. Okay,
stick to the pattern. That's right.
About the format, Andrew, it is chaos. Okay, no, this is what holds society together. Stop it.
I appreciate you calling me out on that. No, like I said, I invite that.
On a related note, my bottle of wine is half gone now. So,
oh my goodness, we only just started.
I know. Well, we were late starting. I got bored. Okay.
I apologize again for that. Now there is also a velvety voiced Harry Connick Jr. in this. He made a couple movies in the 90s. It was weird. He's a good looking guy, and he's one of those people that you think you would see in movies more often, but he made like a handful of movies over a few years, including The Iron Giant, which is
it's a fucking classic.
It's so good. But
Superman, like,
he did it.
I just made myself cry. Okay,
it's incredible. But he's in this, and it's one of those few roles that he did, and then I think he was like, yeah, I don't want to do this anymore.
He was also like a series regular on Will and Grace back in the day, wasn't he?
Very briefly.
He was like Will's Grace's like forever man at the end of the series or something like that.
There was a couple movies that he did, and he was just like, yep, I'm gonna act now. And then he's like, no, I'm not gonna act anymore. I'm gonna go back to playing 10 pianos at the same time and doing stuff like that. He did.
Is he still touring? Is he still doing music?
He was doing like a series of videos during the lockdown, and he's amazing, and he looks just as good. He's one of these ageless wonders. He's probably older than Wilford Brimley as well, and drinking human blood or whatever it is. That
Dear Lord,
how do you do that?
Maybe I should convert to Scientology. It seems to be working for a lot of people. I'm just saying.
Might be time. Let's just pivot the subject of this into converting to Scientology.
Okay, there we go. That's right. Welcome everybody to our seminar.
I'm sorry. That's very offensive. We respect all. We welcome all. Oh, and of course, the bills, whichever bill it was, Paxton or Pullman. I honestly can't remember. I think it was Pullman. It was
Pullman. It was Casper Dad, not Casper Game Dad. Over, man. Like that's a differentiation.
Right. I have that in my head now, but I feel like it's like as soon as I start thinking about something else, it's going to go away. Yep.
Although I have to say, Bill Pullman's hair is a hashtag life goal for me, man. Oof. I don't know what he did, but like there's like it's perfectly floppy. Like I don't know, like it looks like he didn't do anything, but it also looks like it's perfect.
This old mess. Just amazing. Incredible. It was an amazing cast of up and comers and downs and goers. I'm pretty sure also that there was some kind of nasty flu going around the cast during filming, because there was a lot of people who were like talking like this, and maybe it could be the influence of being that close to Harvey Fierstein, and Robert Loggia. Like everyone's like, so I deliver my lines like this, and this is how I'm going to talk. Like,
oh God, Bill Pullman made me laugh every time because he would give a very dramatic reading that end with an extra schwa.
Yeah,
like the
into the night.
Yep. It's like everyone was doing the announcer voice. In a world where aliens have invaded. Yeah, Mr. President, we know we're here. We are the only ones. Again, sir, I'm aware this is a briefing. Can we please move on? Like,
you started to sound like Optimus Prime just now. That is amazing.
Well, I do think that actor Frank, whatever his name, I do think he does do like the trailers back in the day, at least. Him and I can't remember his name. The guy who does Winnie the Pooh's voice also is one of the In the World guys.
Oh,
what the hell's his name?
Winnie the Pooh. I have no idea who that is.
He also does like Darkwing Duck and Bonkers and like a million different Disney voices. But he is the like, in a world where a boy has powers and also feet. Like, I don't like, he's one of those guys, and he's amazing because like he doesn't sound like when he does Tigger too, I think. Anyway, it doesn't matter. This is a total aside. Let's move on.
So an amazing cast, an amazing crew, an amazing synopsis. Just what are you gonna do? You know what I mean?
The only thing I have to complain about is that they gave them character names. Because honestly, no matter how much you call him David, it's Jeff Goldblum. Jeff Goldblum is Jeff Goldblum. Will Smith is Will Smith in this movie. Bill Pullman is Bill Pullman. The character names are beside the point. Like they just are them.
This episode of It's a Conspiracy is brought to you by Alberta Blue Cross. Life as a business owner can be hectic, to say the least. Alberta Blue Cross understands that. They offer flexible health, dental, life, and disability coverage for your employees. Even better, you can let your staff enroll and manage their coverage at any time and on any device. That makes life easier for them and for you. You've got this when it comes to group coverage for your small business, and Alberta Blue Cross has got your back. To learn more and explore your options, head to ab.bluecross.ca.
There were some amazing action names in this. I got to point this out. I can't remember what the everybody's name in this. Let's just look this up here. There were some great action names, and then some not so great names. So like,
so what's great? Define an action name for me. Is this like
name, like a John Matrix, or like a you know what I mean?
John Matrix.
It's always like a John or Jack or something, and like
one syllable, masculine, uber manly.
Mm-hmm. And then
to the point, like a punch to the throat. Okay, got it. Yeah.
But then there was a few. You're like, oh, okay. Like Brent Spiner's name, for example, was Brackish Okun,
which apparently Brackish was not actually in the script. I don't know how I know this, but it's like Roland Emmerich's crew likes to give people nicknames, and they called him brackish because, I mean, when I say the word brackish, to me it means water that is a mixture of fresh and salt water, but apparently it also means like unappealing.
It sounds like sewage. Like if someone was like, "That's brackish," I'd be like, "I'm not going to drink that."
And apparently Okun though was the name of like the effects guy on Stargate, and Brent Spiner is doing a full-on impersonation of that guy in his role.
Well,
like he is 100% doing Okun, whatever his name is, from Stargate's like effects department.
You have got quite the memory here. This sounds good. Because Will Smith's name
I don't want to brag, but I may have read some random facts on IMDb, which means it's probably wrong, but it sounds convincing when I say it out loud. So that's all I care about.
Like Will Smith's name is Stephen Hiller, which isn't bad. That's kind of an action name. It's not quite a John Matrix, but it's
that's good. That's
Stephen
like believable.
But then it starts getting a little like Jeff Goldblum's name is David Levinson.
Okay.
His dad's name is Julius Levinson. There's some moments in here. There's one guy in here. So there's a guy, his name in the movie is Captain Watson, but his name in real life is Bill Smitrovich. Like that's the name. If that's your real name,
I want that name.
Totally. Yeah.
I feel like honestly, you say the word, was it Smitrovich? Was that
Smitrovich?
I automatically, when you say Smitrovich, I automatically in my brain start creating a backstory for him.
Oh, I know.
He's like an average guy, work a day. He's got a wife that's a little hard on him, but she loves him. He's got a couple kids. One's not doing so well in school, but they're a happy family. Like I don't know, Smitrovich just feels like there's substance and reality to it, as compared to what was his name in the movie? Watson.
His name was Captain Watson.
Captain Watson. That's nothing. That's nothing.
One of those names has a lot of personality. One of them doesn't. Yeah, at all.
Yeah, one of them like immediately just slips off your brain. Like your brain's like, that is a human. Noted. That's it. That's all I got.
Vivica Fox's name in this is Jazz DeBrow. That's quite a name.
Which Jazz. That's
DeBrow. I know.
DeBrow. Oh God.
I kept wondering too, because like
that's gonna be the name of my first album I put out right there. Jazz DeBrow. Tunes in the key of Vivica.
Oh, but she is an exotic dancer in the movie, so I don't know if that's her like stage name or if that's her legal name. I'm not judging. I'm just saying that's the that's what she's introduced.
I do think they did say at some point. I do think they said her name was Jasmine.
Jasmine. Well, Jazz,
short for Jasmine. So I think like that is her legit name, but I think Jazz is what she goes by while she's on the stage, in her professional capacity.
I think DJ Jazzy Jeff is also a Jasmine. I'm not sure.
DJ Jasmine Jeff.
This is kind of already veering into our fun facts. Actually, this is a perfect time to go into this. So let's talk about some fun facts here. Well, there's facts. There might be fun. We'll find out.
The fun is optional. The facts are necessary.
That's right. Absolutely. And some of this, again, is from sources like IMDb. So, sometimes they're not true. That's okay. Number one, much of the movie was shot in Utah in an airplane hangar that once housed the infamous Enola Gay, which is the aircraft that dropped the atomic bomb on Japan.
And I did hear that this might be apocryphal, but I did hear that the Independence Day speech that Bill Pullman gives was actually recorded on like the 20th anniversary of them dropping the bomb on the Hiroshima, or like whatever, some decades anniversary. I'm not good at math or history, so don't quote me on that number. But it was like it like was unintentionally dark. Like he's talking about our freedom and independence on the day that they dropped the bomb on a city in Japan and killed untold numbers of people.
Oh dear.
Well, that was fun. I'm glad we said that. Okay.
Yeah, we're keeping these fun facts.
I forgot about the fun part. I'm sorry. I had the facts. I forgot about the fun.
All right, now so back to the fun stuff here. Unlike Transformers, this movie was made without the support of the military because they kept referencing that pesky Area 51. They were like you got those aliens in there, and the military was like, we would have given you support, but you keep talking about those damn aliens, and you're not supposed to know about that. So
now, hold on. Does Transformers not reference Area 51? Am I crazy in that?
The Transformers movies this is shocking, are made with the full cooperation of the American military, or were when Michael Bay was doing them. So it's like,
I want to say that actually doesn't surprise me, just because like the military loves Michael Bay, from what I understand. Like he always makes them look good, and so they're super into it.
They give him helicopters and like aircraft carriers and all kinds of stuff, and they're like, go ahead and use it, it'll be fun. Like, let's put some real bullets in that gun. Go ahead.
Just make sure you bring it back, Michael. That's right. Before the lights go out. As soon as all the street lights go out, bring the helicopter back. It'll be fine. I'll make sandwiches when you're done. It'll be good. I'll cut the crusts off just like you like it.
Number 3, the virus that Professor Goldblum gives to the aliens is a sly, there's those finger quotes again, a sly nod to the novel War of the Worlds. Now I'm saying sly in the sense that it's just straight up plagiarism. Like it's not a nod. It's he slyly stole that idea from that book.
I mean, if you look, any alien invasion film to a certain degree, like, is essentially just a remake of War of the Worlds. Like, it's just the OG got there first.
Mm-hmm. So you can call it plagiarism, but some would call it a sly nod.
Well, I mean, like it's in the War of the Worlds. They just died because there were viruses in the air that killed them that they didn't have an immunity to. So it's not 100% one for the other, but it's not far off.
This is if you believe in viruses, of course. You know,
of course. I mean, I have rights. I have rights. You can't make me.
No, number 4. Here's one for Greg, who's not here, unfortunately. But the slime. So when Will Smith opens up the capsule and starts punching him, just like, I mean, maybe the alien said something about his wife. We're not exactly sure, but the slime.
I would like to. Can you just pause for half a second? Because I just want to point out that this is an audio medium, but Andrew right now is making Popeye speed bag fists as he's talking about punching things. He's just rotating, and it's a thing of glory. I love it.
Just warming up the guns. I think he says "Welcome to Earth" after he punches him too.
Yeah.
Bam! Welcome to Earth. However, anyways,
there was something weird we saw. Like he punches it, he goes, "Welcome to Earth," and then he turns around and he says another stinger. I can't remember what it is, but like his character communicates almost entirely in one-liners throughout the entire film, and I'm here for it. Don't worry, it's not a criticism.
He should have said "Welcome to Earth" and then punched him. But either way,
that's true. I mean, greeting someone when they're unconscious is a little rude. I do agree. You should have done it while he was still awake.
Yeah, just be like, "Hi,"
like courtesy, Mr. Smith. Jesus.
Stephen Hiller, nice to meet you. So anyway, the slime covering the alien, and this is for Greg, was actually gallons of KY, which is a personal lubricant sex jelly. Number 5.
There was nothing appealing about the phrase gallons of KY. There's nothing about that that's good to me. It rolls off the tongue real bad. Not a joke about sex jelly. Just it doesn't feel good in my mouth. I'm gonna stop. I'm stopping.
Yeah, it just feels
getting worse. I'm sorry.
Strange thing to say.
Yeah.
Number 5. This is probably fortuitous for everyone involved, but studio executives at the time were hammering Emmerich and the writers to get in a part for the Hollywood wonder child of the day, Mr. Kevin Spacey, because he was hot off of winning his award in The Usual Suspects, and that would have been a little problematic. So this is obviously before he was canceled for his whole thing.
Were they gunning for him to get a particular role? It's like they wanted him to write in a Kevin Spacey role.
They were like, this is a Kevin Spacey joint. Get him in there. So who knows? Maybe he could have been the Harvey Firestein role. I don't know. It's hard to say.
Maybe he could have been the alien who in the end you find out is Kaiser Soze actually. And then the movie ends with him just walking away without a limp. That would have been great.
Just pulling off a mask. It was me.
That's right.
Number 6, the role that crooner Harry Connick Jr. originally, the role that crooner Harry Connick, probably, I'm going to say that one more time. Number
Harry
6,
Jr., Senior Connick, conical, spherical, jazz man.
The role that crooner Harry Connick Jr. Wow, that's hard to say.
That's like a vocal warm up.
He plays one of the pilots in this. That was originally going to be Mr. Chandler Bing, Mr. Matthew Perry, but he pulled out a few days before shooting began. Oddly, one of Perry's demands was that his father would have a cameo in the movie, and that was still honored. So Matthew Perry's dad is one of the Secret Service agents in this movie.
Hey, who really?
Yeah.
So like Mr. like Chenandler Bong Senior is in there somewhere.
The elder Perry, the elder statesman Perry's in there somewhere.
But I could totally see that as a like Matthew Perry role. I could totally see that. Like he's the best friend, gives a couple quips, and then he disappears.
Absolutely.
Like I could totally 100% see that. Now that you've said that, I mean Harry Connick Jr. I think was fine, but like I could buy Matthew Perry in that.
He could be the guy. He could be the goose in this movie for sure. I mean, like,
and
goose. That's what it was. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yep.
Honk honk. Number 7, when Randy Quaid screams on his way into the spaceship at the end. Spoilers. Apparently, when he's like, "I'm back," he's getting fried alive. Apparently, into that vocal take, it is James Brown. A shriek from none other than the Godfather of Soul. James Brown is layered into that scream. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. That's yes. Number 8. This one. Oh, we're getting into stuff that I feel like someone is going to take a part of this and put it out of context. So I'm just saying, Katie, I did not write this. Okay, number 8.
I am now on the edge of my seat. Literally, there's very little seat underneath me, and I want to know what this is.
So Lebanon, when this movie came out, this is number 8. Lebanon at first attempted to ban and then censor the film due to its portrayal of offensive Jewish stereotypes, offensive gay stereotypes, and offensive alcoholic stereotypes. So one scene that they found particularly offensive, according to the Lebanese wet blanket board, I guess you could call them, was when Judd Hirsch is delighted to have found his lost yarmulke. They give it back to him. He's like, there it is. So they were like, get that out of there.
Hold on. They were like, Jewish people liking yarmulkes is bad?
He got it back and he was excited. And then there's, of course, the scene where Judd Hirsch starts like holding hands with everyone. He's like, oh, sit down, children, we're gonna pray. And they're like, get that out of here.
Yeah.
And then most offensively, they were like, there's a scene where Israeli soldiers and Arab troops are shown working side by side.
And that can't happen. No.
Like, this is disgusting. Get that out of here. So yeah, so the those scenes were taken out of the Lebanese cut, which I just like.
Which also, can I just say, I mean, like, I think that's ridiculous and yada yada yada, but also I would love to have on the shelf of my room like Independence Day Lebanese cut underneath it, because I would be like, wait a minute, what is that? It's just like 5% less Jewish. That's all it is.
Now, number 9, the president's victory speech was very loosely based on the Battle of Agincourt from Henry V. Now, according to Michael Waldman, the speechwriter for Bill Clinton and his saxophone, in the Independence Day speech, the president says July 4th will no longer be known as an American holiday. Henry V says this day is called the Feast of St. Crispian. He that outlives this day and comes home safe will stand a tippy-toe when this day is named. So basically they took that and rewrote it because Bill Shakespeare, he's not going to sue anybody. So goes ahead, fill your boots. Woohoo! Yeah.
That man sure could write pretty words, though, in their defense. I'm just saying, he did write some little nuggets here and there.
And number 10, this is the last one here. So you've heard of this movie being called popularly known as ID4?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, apparently that's because it was kind of rebranded that because there's legalities around the name Independence Day. So that's been copyright by someone. The actual shooting title was Doomsday, which I think is kind of cool, but they decided to call it Independence Day. But that confusing thing with ID4, because it's like, is this the 4th one in the series? Is it Independence Day, A New Hope? Like, is this the 4th episode? So ID4.
Do I have to watch ID 1 through 3 in order to understand this?
Yeah. And okay, so you were mentioning something about miniatures.
Oh, this is my favorite thing about the whole movie. Because I think when we watched it, I mean, other than the fact that we were watching it through we were sharing screens, so every once in a while it just went super pixelated and it was hard to see things.
We were watching it very legally. I'd like to point out
it was legal. We We worked so hard to make it legal. We rented it several times and they wouldn't let us share screens. It was like we were working so hard not to be the subject of those ads in the 90s, like, would you steal a car? Would you steal a book? Why would you steal a movie? I wouldn't, and I'm trying, but you're making it so hard for me. But yeah, like overall, because like it's all there, I think they still hold the record for the most miniatures made for any film ever. Only because they made, like, even at the time they made more than most movies made. I think still, well, because they were also like sort of the peak. Because after that, CG started coming in more and more. Like there was still a lot of miniatures and things like Star Wars Episode 1 and like Lord of the Rings, but they were supplemented with a lot of CG stuff that they just didn't use back, especially because they were trying to shoot this fairly cheap. So they were trying to do like everything as in camera as they could, but they made a ton of them. And my favorite little thing is that shot of the White House blowing up. They basically made the set at like 1/12 scale or something like that. And then they put it like at 90 degrees, what you'd expect. So like the road is sticking straight up in the air essentially. Mm-hmm. And then they blew it up, but they did it so that the fireball shot straight up at the camera. And then they filmed it in slow motion as you do with miniatures. So when you looked at it, though, it looks like the fireball is like shooting out towards you along the street on this epic scale. And I don't like, because they're shooting in camera, I think a lot of it really holds up. Even like when you can see sort of like the optical compositing, like blue screeny, like black lines around things and stuff, like it's still a physical object. And I don't know, personally, I think CG gets a bad rap, but I also think bad physical and optical effects hold up better than bad CG. And because of that, I think the effects are like the least problem that good old ID4 has.
Yeah. There actually is some really cool kind of makeup-y stuff too with the alien where it's like attacking people, like the whole thing when Brent Spiner's like shoved up against the window and he's like, no, but we will die. Like that was really cool. And the little creepy hand, like there was some cool puppet stuff. There was some cool slimy sex jelly stuff. Like there was some cool stuff in here.
But like the thing, like when you watch that scene, you're like, okay, that's a puppet. But again, looking at and seeing a puppet still in my brain takes me out of it less than seeing like weightless pastel-y CG stuff. Like again, I think CG is a great tool that can do great stuff, but like bad CG is worse than bad practical effects is really what it comes down to.
I would agree completely. This is, and we are veering into opinions, which
okay. Oh, like damn it! I got into the ozone shit.
But,
darn.
The thing is though, this really, when I think of bad CG that has aged unbelievably poorly, and this did it immediately. I think it's called the Scorpion King.
Yeah. The rock, the bad like rock double on when he's like got like the scorpion body. It's I don't remember seeing it when it first came out. Like it couldn't have been good originally, right? Like it's so bad that like it's terrible.
The worst, maybe the worst bit of CG. It's hard to say the worst, but real bad. Like it's
of what I've seen. It's outside of like no budget, like a mockbuster, like whatever stuff, where like people just didn't care. But like in like a big budget mainstream Hollywood film, I can't think of a worse effect off the top of my head.
Yeah, it's
I'm just saying, I look more like The Rock than that thing does. Like it's bad.
And they had him. He was in the beginning of the movie. They could have got him, just put a pair of scorpion pants on him and been like, out you go, Dwayne. Let's just that would have been better. It would have been. It would have been 100%. Like just no, it was bad. Okay, well, let's put our opinions back in our pants.
Okay, there are my pants. Pants on.
We're back to objective or subjective, whatever it is. We're back to martial law.
Subjective. Okay.
Subjective. That's going to take us to advertisement number 1. Whoop.
Hello, I'm Elizabeth Bonkink.
I'm Andrew Paul.
And we're the hosts of the Well Endowed Podcast.
The Well Endowed Podcast is produced by Edmonton Community Foundation, or ECF as we call it.
ECF provides grants to charities through the endowment funds we create and manage with our donors.
Hence the title of our show, The Well Endowed Podcast.
Every month, we bring you a collection of stories and interviews with fascinating guests who are working to make Edmonton a strong, vibrant city to live in.
Through these stories, we look at the space where endowments intersect with your communities.
So if you're interested in the people and issues impacting your community, check out thewellendowedpodcast.com.
And we are back. Okay, now, I guess how do we want to phrase this here? I was saying in the beginning is in our regular opinion time segment, we start sharing our feelings on the things that have been presented here, but and we've kind of talked about it a little bit. But in your opinion, is this movie good? Does it hold up? And what about the part with the jumping dog? So there are 3 questions there.
Okay, jumping. Okay, the thing is, you know what? I don't mind this movie. Like it's funny because I wouldn't say it's a good movie, but I also would say it's great. Like, if that makes sense. Like it does enough things well enough to hold up. Like it is really good at, like, it sets up the characters in very broad strokes, but it sets them up well enough, and like they're likable, played by charismatic actors. They all have like, and again, like, it's good enough at setup and payoff. You know, people are separated and then they get back together and they get married. There's a programmer who's not believed. At the end, he's believed and he saves the world. Or there's the guy who no one believes who's abducted by aliens, and then he ends up being proven right and he saves the world, and his son now loves him. Like, it's basic, but there's setup and there's payoff. And then most importantly, it's all housed in escalating, increasingly ridiculous spectacle, which is really it. I mean, like, is it over long? Sure. Are any of the characters nuanced? Long. No. Like, is there anything original? Not really. But like, it does it all well enough, and it's all fun enough. And so I have this thing where I think there's a difference between stupid and silly. And I think this one falls on the side of like just silly. Like the president being like, I was a fighter pilot. I'm getting in here and fighting in the final battle. Like, it's ridiculous. But you know what? I'm a combat pilot. Yeah, I'm a combat pilot, so I'm a combat pilot. Like, it's kind of dumb, but it's in an endearing way, which to me puts it in like the knowingly silly camp. Like, no one thinks this is some Oscar baity drama thing, but like it's fun and it's knowing and it works. And I think it's good. I mean, I think it's the kind of good that you want to watch with like a group of other people. Yeah, you can all kind of like laugh at the spectacle and the ridiculous of it. But like overall, I mean, I don't know. Like I said this to you earlier. When I watched this movie, I was like 13 or 14, and I just hit that real pretentious state of adolescence where I was like, I'm into art. Yeah, that's what I like. I like serious things and things that mess with form. And I was really down in this movie. But now in my 30s, I'm like, this is just a good time. I'm okay with this movie. This movie is good shit.
It's funny. I guess I would call this movie very watchable. Like, it's very easy to watch. It's a lot of fun. It's idiotic, but like you said, it's idiotic in kind of the best sort of ways. Now I got asked a question about artsy movies. So this is one of those things that kind of nagged at me the older I get. So, because I went through a very similar phase. I'm like, oh, I only like films. I never really like movies. Yes. But then I think of a movie that's like an amazing artistic achievement. Like, I think of like, for example, The Artist. The Artist kind of pops to mind. I saw that movie once and I was like, wow, that was amazing. That was really cool and original and awesome. And that's real neat. I watched it one time. I have like no desire to ever sit through it again. Yeah,
there are many films that I've watched that I can honestly say like I appreciate and I respect, but I have no urge to watch again.
Yeah. But would you like in like 10 years have a couple beers with some friends and put this on one more time and just have a good laugh?
I do it next week, man. Yeah, no, totally.
What I'm talking about.
This movie is, I would agree. In terms of like rewatchability, this ranks high.
Yeah.
This is a good time with friends that I'm willing to have frequently.
There are some cringy things. Like, there was the part where the I don't even like talking about, there's the thing with the kids where the young girl's like, if the world's gonna die, I don't want to die a virgin. And it's like, oh, come on, let's not do this.
Her whole storyline is about her like wanting to sleep with that boy.
Oh,
but like, and the end is that admittedly, the end is the dude doesn't pressure her into sex and says it's okay.
Which is awesome.
which is cool. But also it's that thing where like, the girl's whole storyline is her relationship with men, and like, yeah. I mean, that being said, I also don't know how I feel about the promotion of abstinence, only because abstinence as birth control is not a good method, because anyways, the whole thing there.
There's a whole thing there, but
the whole thing, especially because the actress, I don't know her actual age, but she seems very young,
extremely young
in the movie.
Super cringy.
To like hose the whole narrative around her sexuality felt weird and gross.
Yeah, it
especially
really
because
did.
it served no greater purpose.
It had nothing to do with anything at all.
No, it's like, we need to give her something to do, so let's give her something to do about her sexing. And I'm like,
yeah,
I don't know about that, guys.
That is the only thing. That felt like something that felt like a subplot out of like a late 70s, early 80s movie, where like people were like, oh, everything has to have like some kind of element like this in it to be fun.
Yeah.
And you're just like, whoa, this is bad. Like, it's real bad. I loved the conclusion of it. I really did. I was like, because the kid kind of seemed like sort of a jerk, but then in the end he's like, let's just enjoy this together, and there's no pressure to do anything, and we can be friends. And I'm like,
let's just enjoy the end of the world.
Let's just enjoy the end.
Let's just die together. It'll be cool.
And I guess in terms of this movie holding up, though, I really got to say that there are things that don't hold up, but I think overall the enjoyability of it really does make it hold up. Like it's funny, and like there's little moments that I think were just hilarious. Like, I actually forgot there's like 2 or 3 gags that stuck out to me that I did remember. Like, there's the part where Will Smith shows Harry Connick Jr. He's like, yeah, I got this ring and it's got a dolphin on it because she likes dolphins. And Harry Connick Jr. happened to be like tying his shoe when he was looking at it, and the guy walked around the corner and saw him like kneeling in front of Will Smith with a ring. And then he just kind of stepped back. I'm like, that, because it was actually subtle. So in terms of nuance, like, that was a funny little joke. And then when Harvey Fierstein or Fierstein is whatever was on
Harvey.
When he's on the phone to his mom.
That's what he just called him. He's just Harvey.
We should just say Harvey. That's right.
So
he's like, Mom, you're gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine. Just wait right there. I'll be home in a second. And Jeff Goldblum's like, tell her to get out of the city. He's like, Mom, you gotta pack up your bags. You gotta go. And he's like, why? You're telling me to send my mother to Atlanta? And I'm like, I don't know why that's so funny, but like, it didn't even really go anywhere. Like, it just is hilarious. And I'm like, that is, it's but just.
I did like that moment. It was like, it felt actually weirdly very human.
It did exactly.
It was like also like in this giant thing with like city-sized spaceships. It's like this dude's just concerned about his mom. He's just trying to figure out the logistics of it, and it brings that the big spectacle down to that like human scale in a way that you don't expect. So like, yeah, I can get behind that gag.
It makes me happy when a movie's meant to be like The Martian did a good example or a good job with this. It's a serious movie with real content, but it didn't shy away from being funny. Like the comedy did not negate the intelligence being presented. I'm not saying Independence Day is intelligent. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that I love it when movies are like, they're not afraid to put in a little joke, because that kind of balances out the spectacle a little bit. And I thought,
and I think that like I think there are some movies that want to be like serious movies, so they have no jokes and they're super serious. I'm thinking mostly of like a lot of like Christopher Nolan films, which like I mean overall I like Christopher Nolan, but like he's like a po-faced serious boy all the time, and sometimes having a modulation of tone makes the highs highers and the lowers and lows lower, and like it makes the film work better than if like everything feels the same. It starts to feel dramatically flat, and you don't get the same impact in moments that you would like a well-placed joke every once in a while. I think makes the whole thing just flow better. I don't know. And I actually think ID4 didn't do a bad job of that.
Okay, so there is one thing that I have to point out that they did do a bad job of. So
let's hear.
In the end, he's like, we're not going to go quietly into the night. It's not about America anymore. It's the whole world's Independence Day. And they go out of their way to make it as international as they can. For like 30 seconds, they're showing like a bunch of guys in the desert and some British soldiers who are like, okay, let's get going there,
Cheerio, chaps, let us war now. Yes.
And you're like, what? So it's very brief, and they're like, oh, this is international. The whole world is doing this, and the Brits are like,
But then, do you see any of those guys after that?
Yeah, exactly. And all they were there was to be like, oh, thank God for those bloody Yanks. They're gonna show those aliens who's boss. And you're like, okay, this is really just kind of pushing that American narrative, which got a little exhausting towards the end. So I'm just gonna say that doesn't mean I'm not trying to sound anti-American, but it's like the attempts to make it feel international, they fell real flat. And I think it was you that pointed this out, because this was made by a German crew. So I think the Germans were like, we're going to try to make this like as American as possible, like from an outside point of view. And some of the stuff you're like, whoa, like back up on that a whole bunch. Like, well,
I do think isn't the very first shot of the whole movie actually like an American flag on the moon? Like, I think it actually starts with the good old stars and stripes, right? Like
it starts on the moon with like Terminator 2. Like the minute when the movie started, I was like, I forgot. I'm already in love with this movie, because it's like Independence Day. And it was like this like crazy Terminator music and font and everything. And I'm like, this is awesome. Like I was on board.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly really enjoyed the film. If I had to give like any criticisms, I would say that the characters are painted in very broad strokes, and you could argue that some of them are bordering on cliche or even stereotypes.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like Judd Hirsch's Jewish father, you could argue is very stereotypical. Or I mean, honestly, even Will Smith's character, you could argue, is getting into the like athletic black man type thing. Like there are certain things where like you can see. I actually don't. I don't know. For me personally, as someone who's not a member of those groups, so I admit that I probably lack a great deal of insight. They didn't cross over into the offensive territory to me. But if someone said they did offend them, I would totally accept that. Like I can totally see it. Like they're very broad stroke characterizations of people who like, I mean, and even the fact that like Vivica A. Fox is a stripper.
Oh,
whereas like the white love interest is the press secretary, right? Like, like that's a little like I mean, like I don't want to shame strippers. That's not what I'm doing. But I'm saying, but having the only female black character in your movie be a stripper, maybe I don't know, like that might be too much. But I mean, it's that fine line between like this is an individual character and we're showing their story versus like, is this person representative of like the group that they're from, and is that fair? Like there's a whole debate there. But like if anyone said they were offended by it, I'd be like, fair, I get it totally.
Yeah. The one of the things that we've talked about with the Bad Movie Club is how no matter how bad a movie is, usually kids are safe and usually dogs are safe. And this movie, like I knew that dog survived, but like that scene, it gave me way too much anxiety. Like when I was watching it, I was like, this is like the dog is having a hard time getting out of the back seat, and like the tunnels filling up with fire and people being roasted alive left and right. And I'm like, whatever, who cares? But this poor dog is like trying to like get out of the seatbelt, and the little kid is like, run, and his name's like Buxton or whatever. It's like, run, Buxton. And the dog does like one of those like Arnold Schwarzenegger like jump against an explosion, like slow motion things. But the dog does it. I'm like, wow. And everyone in the group was like, we all remembered that moment. It was like the cow in Twister or some other dumb thing that we all had a collective memory. And I was like, what the hell is it? Why does that stick out?
Well, I mean, the thing that really why it sticks out for me, I don't know if this is the reason it sticks out for everyone else, but it sticks out for me because it defies physics in several meaningful ways. There's a giant fireball and they kick open a door, and like fireballs aren't directional. Like it's going to fill the space that's there. So opening the door just means there's also now fire where the door was open. Like it doesn't mean that they escaped it. But it's also like if you watch the dog, it like jumps and it gets like halfway through its jump, and then it just looks like someone clicks it with a mouse and just drags it to the left. Oh. It's not a convincing effect. Like it's just, it's so bad. Like it's just, they're like, you know what, guys, this is like God intervening. They're like, the dog can't die. Like, we're just gonna save it. And so like it sticks out as a bad effect, and it's something that doesn't make sense in terms. I mean, I don't know if there's a physicist out there who can argue with me. Maybe I'm wrong, but in my brain, that wouldn't be how you saved yourself from a fireball. That would just mean you got cooked slightly to the left of where you want to get cooked before. But
yeah, like the fire would go wherever it had an opening to go. If there was a door, the
Yeah, I
fire
mean,
wouldn't. It would keep going.
don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to argue that you need to have like realism in your alien invasion movie, but for some reason that to my brain was just like, it's just like a slight bridge too far. I don't know why that's where it breaks, but that's where my brain breaks. Where I'm like, this is bullshit. Like, I didn't want the dog to die either, but I just wanted a more convincing save, I guess.
With that said, then at the end, when like the alien spaceship that had Jeff Goldblum and Will Smith, and what a team that is. So they crash in the desert. They've shot up the spaceship. They crash in the desert, and they are like, that was one sassy
struts,
jaunty strut. The two of them walking.
Yeah, they were doing like the Victoria's Secret like runway walk down, like cigars in their mouths, just like
man. Yeah, like Jeff Goldblum was like straight up channeling like Giselle Bundchen. Like, it was amazing.
I'm not gonna lie, Jeff Goldblum stirred some feelings in me, man.
Oh man,
like, I don't know what was going on, but like deep down inside, I felt it. Like, it was.
Yeah. That dude has hips like Shakira. Like, he was just making his little paratrooper outfit sing. Anyways, when they're driving up, when they're driving up in the Jeep, and my
lower body tells the truth constantly. That's right. Yes.
I just couldn't believe the dog was in the Jeep at the end. I'm like, the dog's back. Buxton or whatever his name is, still alive.
Yeah, I do love that. In retrieving these two guys that just saved the world, they're like, let's bring the dog and their wives. That'll be good. That doesn't break protocol. That'll be great. Like,
I need to take a look at the cast again and see if the dog is included, because it damn well
the dog
should
listed.
Be.
Okay,
I should hope so.
Here's the thing I need to know. Is the dog Air Bud? That's all I care about.
Oh, see, now you're gonna make me cry, because I think Air Bud like died like right after that movie came out, and that's why like Air Bud 2 Electric Boogaloo is like a different puppy.
But is that why they're all puppies now?
There is no. Yeah, no, it doesn't say anything here. It says
the dog isn't that's animalist. I disapprove of that.
Absolutely. Look at this. They've got the guy that's like, they've got British Army guy. He was quoted.
So is that what he's credited as?
Guy. Yeah. And they don't have the dog.
And they don't have the one actor in the whole film that everyone remembers.
Totally. Wow, they have the guy. There's a person here credited as trailer trash. Michael Haddad is credited as trailer trash.
That's probably not an okay term.
Yeah, no,
I
definitely
feel
not.
awkward about that.
There's someone labeled as Boomer. Anyways,
Boomer?
It doesn't look to me like the puppy is, which is a shame.
It is a shame.
I'm sure that puppy is still alive and perfectly fine wherever it is, and let's all assume that and just have that in our hearts, because it's been a long time. But
I assume that how long ago did this movie come out?
1994.
Oh, 96. It's 96. We had 06, 2016, plus like 6 years on top of that.
27.
Like 26. Dogs live to be 26 or 27, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's a thing that's real.
It's still
especially when that dog was an adult when we saw it, so it was already a few years old on top of that. But it's alive. It's good. It's on my uncle's farm, like all my other dogs that I don't see anymore.
Oh, well then, what a journey. Okay, so ready then, slimy alien friends. Thank you so much for swinging by and being friendly. Have fun over the summer. Happy holidays. If you're getting some time off or you're doing something, we hope you're doing something with something fun with the ones you love, something fun with your puppies. That sounds awesome. Something fun with your
likely 30
lubricants.
or 40, as dogs live that long. Yes.
Yeah, totally. Your 50s and 60s. I hope we're all still good. But yeah, no, that was a lot of fun. Thank you so much, Mack, for joining me tonight. That was a lot of fun, and that was fun watching it together, man. These movies are what a gem. Is it a masterpiece? Am I out of sorts here?
No, you know what? I would say no. I would say it. I mean, it's definitely a disaster piece, but
A disaster piece.
a disaster piece. I will say, like it's not actually a bad film. It's a ridiculous film, but it's a fun film. It's a good film to have with friends and beers.
Perfect way to watch for if you're celebrating your country's birthday.
Independence Day. That's right.
All right, well, take care. We'll see you later
God
on in the
bless America. Is that going to get us demonetized? Does that how podcasts work? I don't know.